Most people believe that when someone disrespects you, the absolute strongest response is to fight back, to instantly defend your honor, and to firmly put that person in their place so they never cross you again. But they are completely wrong. Imagine this deeply familiar situation. You are sitting in a crowded room, perhaps at your workplace, presenting an idea you worked hard on, and a coworker abruptly cuts you off mid-sentence, rolling their eyes and dismissing your contribution as if you are completely invisible. Or picture yourself driving home after a brutal 10-hour shift, exhausted and just wanting peace, when a heavy truck swerves into your lane, cutting you off by mere inches, and the driver has the absolute nerve to yell and flip you off. Or maybe it is quieter but just as sharp, your phone screen lighting up with a text message from someone you know, containing a perfectly crafted, passive-aggressive jab designed specifically to humiliate you. You know exactly what happens next inside your body. You feel that sudden, intense heat rising rapidly in your chest. Your jaw clenches tightly. Your heart rate spikes as adrenaline floods your system. Your ego instantly flares up like a wildfire, whispering urgently in your ear that you cannot let them get away with this. Your instinct screams at you to strike back immediately, to aggressively defend your pride, to somehow teach them a harsh lesson they will never forget. You desperately imagine the perfect, cutting comeback, the exact arrangement of words that will pierce their arrogance and make them deeply regret ever testing your boundaries. You want to prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that you are not weak, that you cannot be walked over. But here is the profound, counterintuitive truth passed down through ancient Stoic philosophy. The disrespect itself did not actually harm you. It is entirely your internal judgment about the disrespect that is currently tearing you apart. The external event is completely neutral, but your mind's habit of catastrophizing and demanding respect is the true source of your pain. When you allow a careless insult to trigger your rage, you are literally taking a meaningless string of sounds in the air, or a few pixels on a digital screen, and actively forging them into a weapon to destroy your own peace of mind. Reaction is loud, exhausting, and fragile, while restraint is silent, grounded, and invincible. The ego constantly demands a loud, messy fight, but wisdom simply observes the chaotic noise and lets it fade away. Think of a toxic insult as nothing more than the mindless barking of a dog behind a fence. You would never drop down to your hands and knees in the dirt to bark back at a dog. So why would you ever lower your standards to match the frantic chaos of an unaware, disrespectful person? Every single time you react emotionally to provocation, you are voluntarily handing over the remote control of your nervous system to your enemy. You become nothing more than a puppet, and they are joyfully pulling your emotional strings, dictating whether you get to have a good day or a miserable one. True dignity does not live in other people's flawed opinions of you. It lives entirely in your own unshakable self-control. The ultimate display of power is not about dominating the person who wronged you, but about achieving absolute mastery over your own mind. You must understand that the real battle is never out there in the external world. It is always fought and won right here inside you. You cannot control what other people say. You cannot fix how they think. and you certainly cannot force them to behave with honor. But you maintain absolute, unbreakable sovereignty over how you choose to respond. Your calm is your impenetrable shield, and your silence is a devastating counterattack. As the great Stoic philosopher Epictetus warned his students centuries ago, it is not the things themselves that disturb us, but our judgments about those things. Most of us are deeply conditioned to believe that snapping back with a razor-sharp response is the ultimate display of dominance and self-respect. We idolize the clever comeback, the savage reply, the exact moment we can verbally crush the person who dared to cross our boundaries. We firmly think that by striking back, we are proving our undeniable strength and fiercely defending our personal territory. But let us look much closer at this dangerous illusion of retaliation. Picture yourself hours after that disrespectful encounter in the corporate meeting room or the aggressive incident on the busy highway. You are standing in your warm shower or lying awake staring at the dark ceiling of your bedroom, replaying the exact scenario on an endless, exhausting loop in your mind. You are carefully drafting the perfect, devastating response. You vividly imagine the shocked look on their face when you finally put them in their proper place. Your heart is racing again. Your jaw is firmly clenched, and you are flooding your physical body with toxic stress hormones. You genuinely believe you are fighting back, but what is actually happening in reality? The person who casually insulted you is probably sleeping peacefully or enjoying their evening meal, completely oblivious to your existence, while you are doing all of their destructive work for them. You are actively choosing to suffer twice, once from their initial careless action, and then 1,000 times more through your own uncontrollable imagination. We constantly mistake explosive emotional reaction for power, but ancient Stoic philosophy teaches us that anger is simply weakness disguised as strength. A loud, messy, emotional reaction is the ultimate form of submission. When you allow a careless comment from a colleague or a rude gesture from a total stranger to dictate your heart rate and completely ruin your entire afternoon, you are voluntarily stepping into a pair of invisible puppet strings. You are handing the remote control of your internal nervous system directly over to an unaware, chaotic individual. Epictetus, the great Stoic teacher who was born into slavery, understood this profound dynamic better than anyone. He warned his students that if you hand over your peace of mind to anyone who provokes you, you are making yourself their willing slave. They pull the string of disrespect, and you predictably dance with intense rage. They pull the string of harsh criticism, and you reliably sink into deep self-doubt. You proudly call yourself a free and independent human being, yet you allow a random person's toxic emotional state to completely dictate whether you are allowed to have a positive day or a miserable one. Think of your peace of mind as an impenetrable fortress. An insult is not a heavy battering ram that can break down your thick walls. It is merely a tiny pebble thrown harmlessly against the solid stone exterior. The only possible way that pebble can actually cause you harm is if you voluntarily open the heavy iron gates, walk outside into the chaos, pick up the pebble from the dirt, and repeatedly strike yourself with it. Retaliation is exactly that foolish process. It is the conscious decision to leave your fortress of inner peace just so you can roll around in the mud with someone who already lives in the mud. So how do you permanently break this illusion of retaliation? You must learn the profound psychological art of cutting the puppet strings. The very next time someone disrespects you, carefully feel the immediate, burning urge to react. Notice the sudden heat rising in your face and the tight tension in your hands. Then, simply observe that feeling without obeying it. In that vital, silent space between their toxic insult and your calculated response, your absolute freedom lives. You look closely at their chaotic, negative energy. You recognize that their disrespect is merely a symptom of their own internal misery, and you consciously decide not to participate in their sickness. You refuse to mirror their hostility. You refuse to let their temporary storm drown your permanent calm. True, undeniable power is looking directly at someone who is desperately trying to break your spirit and feeling absolutely nothing but a quiet, grounded stillness. You realize that you cannot control their severe lack of manners, but you maintain absolute, unbreakable sovereignty over your own mind. As the Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius reminded himself during times of intense betrayal and conflict, the best revenge is not to be like your enemy. We are constantly taught that acting immediately is the ultimate sign of decisiveness and power. Society conditions us to believe that hesitation is a fatal weakness, and that if you do not strike back the exact second you are challenged, you are surrendering your ground. But the ancient Stoics understood that the exact opposite is the truth. The single most powerful move you can make when someone attacks your character is absolutely nothing. Imagine you are standing right there in the moment of conflict. The disrespectful words have just left their mouth and are hanging heavily in the air. You can actually feel the physical shift inside your body. The room feels incredibly hot. Your chest tightens. Your breathing becomes shallow, and every single fiber of your being is screaming at you to open your mouth and fire back a devastating response. Your biological instincts are demanding immediate action to protect your pride. Modern neuroscience explains exactly what is happening to you in this critical moment. Your amygdala, the primitive emotional center of your brain, fires off a threat signal in mere milliseconds. It completely floods your system with adrenaline and urges you to fight. But your prefrontal cortex, the advanced rational center of your brain where logic and wisdom reside, takes a little bit longer to fully activate. When you react instantly, you are letting the primitive animal inside of you drive the car. You are acting without thinking, which is exactly what your ego wants. This is where you must actively deploy the ultimate Stoic shield, which is the simple, profound discipline of the pause. You must learn the art of buying yourself time. As the great Stoic teacher Epictetus instructed his students, whenever you are provoked by a harsh impression, you must tell it to wait a moment. You must demand to examine it before you let it take control of your actions. That tiny fraction of a second, that deliberate space between the external stimulus and your internal response, is the exact location where your entire freedom lives. Your first reaction is always the untrained animal within you, but your second reaction is the disciplined human being. The Stoic master patiently waits for the second. Speed serves the ego, but delay serves the soul. Think of this pause not as a surrender, but as a heavily fortified shield. When you freeze and take one deep, deliberate breath, you are actively refusing to step into their chaotic emotional storm. You are watching their toxic energy crash against your invisible walls and completely dissolve into nothing. It is like a highly trained warrior smoothly drawing their sword, feeling the heavy weight of the steel in their hand, and then deliberately choosing to lower the blade because they realize that victory is not about physical domination. It is entirely about supreme self-control. Just a few seconds of intentional silence completely transforms rage into pure awareness and blind impulse into calculated discipline. The next time you find yourself standing in the line of fire of someone else's disrespect, do absolutely nothing. Feel the burning string of provocation being forcefully pulled, and consciously take a step back. Observe the intense emotion trying to hijack your nervous system, but absolutely refuse to obey its commands. Let the uncomfortable silence stretch out. Let them sit awkwardly in the mess of their own disrespectful words while you simply watch them with cold, unbreakable clarity. You are not suppressing your emotions. You are simply denying them the permission to dictate your behavior. You are building an impenetrable fortress of inner peace that no careless insult can ever breach. As the wise philosopher Seneca brilliantly observed thousands of years ago, the greatest remedy for anger is delay. Once you have mastered the profound discipline of the pause, that deliberate silence grants you a terrifyingly calm advantage. It gives you psychological X-ray vision. Society constantly feeds us the narrative that the people who disrespect us are calculated villains. We are told that the coworker who talks down to you, the relative who constantly criticizes your life choices, or the stranger who aggressively cuts you off on the freeway are all acting out of pure, intentional malice. Your ego desperately wants to believe they are a formidable enemy who must be defeated in verbal combat. But let us look at the reality of human nature through the sharp lens of ancient wisdom. When you use that silent pause to actually observe the person attacking you, you do not see a powerful adversary. You see a deeply fragile human being. You see someone who is drowning in their own internal chaos. Imagine someone shouting at you in a crowded grocery store over a minor inconvenience. Your biological instinct is to feel threatened and to attack back. But what if you could suddenly see the exact state of their mind? You would see their overwhelming insecurity. You would see the heavy exhaustion they carry from their own poor decisions. You would clearly recognize that their explosive anger is nothing more than a desperate defense mechanism protecting an incredibly weak ego. They genuinely believe that by dominating you, they will somehow earn respect and feel safe in a world they do not understand. They are not powerful. They are confused. As the great Stoic teacher Epictetus reminded his students, people do not choose to be bad. They simply act from ignorance and a distorted judgment of reality. No one does wrong willingly. They are acting entirely based on what their flawed internal compass tells them is necessary to survive. Think of it like a physical illness. If a sick person accidentally coughed on you while walking down the street, you would never turn around and start screaming at them to prove your dominance. You would instantly recognize that the cough is simply an involuntary symptom of their disease. You must train yourself to view disrespect in the exact same way. Arrogance, cruelty, and the urge to insult are not signs of strength. They are the visible symptoms of a spiritually sick mind. The person attempting to humiliate you is infected with ignorance, and their disrespect is just their sickness coughing onto you. Modern psychology refers to this exact realization as cognitive empathy. It is the ability to step back from your own wounded pride and understand that another person's toxic behavior is entirely about their own unresolved pain and has absolutely nothing to do with your actual worth. The next time you are standing in the direct line of fire of someone's disrespect, use your X-ray vision. Strip away their loud, aggressive mask. Look directly into their eyes and see the frightened, insecure individual hiding underneath. You do not need to agree with their actions, and you certainly do not need to tolerate abuse, but you must completely stop taking their sickness personally. Do not hate them for their blindness. Pity them. Because the absolute truth is that a person who spends their energy trying to tear other people down is already living in a prison of their own making. They wake up every single morning with their own toxic mind, constantly fighting invisible wars. You get to walk away in peace, but they are forced to live with themselves forever. You do not need to punish them, because their own ignorance is already punishing them perfectly. As the Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius wisely noted, the person who does wrong to themselves and makes themselves worse. You remain untouched, anchored in your own quiet power, watching their storm pass you by. Now that you can clearly see the hidden pain behind their disrespectful behavior, you must master the profound art of categorizing their words. We are constantly conditioned to believe that every single verbal attack requires an immediate and robust defense. We mistakenly think that if someone throws an insult at us, we are obligated to catch it, examine it closely, and forcefully throw it right back at them. But let us apply a brilliant piece of ancient logic to this very modern problem. Imagine you are walking down a quiet suburban street on a pleasant afternoon. As you pass by a house, a highly agitated dog runs up to the chain-link fence and starts barking aggressively at you. It is showing its teeth, jumping up and down, and making an absolute chaotic scene. What is your immediate reaction to this event? Do you drop down to your hands and knees in the dirt, press your face against the cold metal fence, and violently bark back at the dog? Do you spend the rest of your week feeling deeply offended that the animal did not respect your personal authority? Of course you do not. You recognize immediately that it is simply an untrained animal making meaningless noise. You do not take the situation personally. You do not feel a sudden drop in your self-worth, and you certainly do not lower your own standards to engage in a ridiculous barking match. You simply keep walking, completely untroubled, toward your intended destination. The great Roman philosopher Seneca taught his students to treat disrespectful human beings in the exact same manner. He asked a profoundly simple question: would anyone in their right mind intentionally kick back at a mule that kicked them, or bite a dog that bit them? Yet, whenever a toxic coworker makes a passive-aggressive comment in a professional meeting, or an angry stranger yells at you from their moving vehicle, your fragile ego instantly demands that you bite back. You completely forget that their harsh words are literally nothing more than minor vibrations in the empty air. They are meaningless sound waves generated entirely by someone else's internal bitterness and confusion. An insult is not a solid physical object that can actually strike your body. It is entirely invisible. It only transforms into a dangerous weapon if you voluntarily reach out, grab it from the air, and consciously decide to wound yourself with it. When you react emotionally to a disrespectful person, you are validating their chaotic noise. You are explicitly telling them that their barking is important enough to halt your journey. But when you choose absolute restraint, you instantly strip their words of all power. You render their carefully crafted insults completely harmless. Modern psychology teaches us that treating toxic behavior as mere background noise is the ultimate form of emotional regulation. You hear the honking car. You hear the complaining relative. You hear the jealous colleague. But you rationally categorize it all as mildly unpleasant environmental noise, entirely unworthy of your precious mental energy. You must deeply realize that you do not need to fight every single fool that barks at you. Your limited time on this earth is far too valuable to waste on meaningless arguments with people who are firmly committed to their own ignorance. The human ego desperately wants to prove a point, but true wisdom simply smiles and keeps walking. True dignity is never established by forcing unstable people to respect you. It is established by refusing to let their disrespect touch your inner spirit. The very next time someone attempts to humiliate you with their bitter words, clearly picture that small dog behind the fence. Let them loudly bark until they are completely exhausted. Do not try to cleverly correct them. Do not aggressively defend yourself, and absolutely do not bark back. Just let their toxic noise fade harmlessly into the distance as you continue moving gracefully forward. As Seneca wisely observed centuries ago, anger always lasts much longer than the injury that actually provoked it. So the most devastatingly powerful response to cruelty is simply to remain completely unbothered. We are deeply conditioned to believe that whenever a conflict arises, we are the absolutely flawless victim, and the person disrespecting us is entirely the villain. Society actively encourages us to climb onto a tall pedestal of moral superiority and look down in harsh judgment at anyone who dares to cross our personal boundaries. We absolutely love to play the righteous judge, eagerly pointing out the massive flaws in everyone else's character while conveniently and completely ignoring our own. But the ancient Stoic philosophers understood that this arrogant mindset is a massive, exhausting trap for your ego. Imagine you are sitting alone in your living room, absolutely fuming because a close friend just canceled important dinner plans at the last possible minute. Or perhaps you are gripping the steering wheel of your car until your knuckles turn white, furious because another driver aggressively cut into your lane on the freeway without even looking. Your mind instantly goes to work, building a highly dramatic narrative where you are the completely innocent protagonist and they are the calculated, selfish antagonist. You confidently tell yourself that they are terrible, reckless, and completely lacking in basic human decency. But let us look closely at this familiar emotional situation through the uncomfortable but profoundly necessary lens of the Stoic mirror. Have you never been running incredibly late and abruptly cut someone off in heavy traffic because you were terrified of missing an important appointment? Have you never sent a careless, poorly worded text message that accidentally deeply hurt someone you care about? Have you never been completely exhausted after a brutal 60-hour work week and snapped impatiently at a family member who absolutely did not deserve your frustration? The undeniable truth is that you have. We all have. Modern psychology refers to this common mental blind spot as the fundamental attribution error. It is the human brain's natural tendency to aggressively excuse our own terrible behavior as simply a product of a bad day or a highly stressful situation, while we simultaneously judge other people's identical terrible behavior as permanent, unforgivable flaws in their core character. When you allow your fragile ego to operate this way, you remain in a constant state of bitter anger, always waiting for the outside world to apologize to you. But true emotional invincibility requires the heavy, powerful weapon of humility. The great Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius, despite ruling the entire known world and having the power to punish anyone, absolutely refused to let himself become arrogant. He taught that whenever you feel the burning temptation to loudly condemn someone else for their disrespect, you must completely stop and look deeply into your own soul. The very next time someone insults your intelligence or completely ignores your feelings, do not immediately strike back with righteous fury. Instead, use that exact moment of friction to perform a deliberate mirror check. Ask yourself a very simple, profoundly humbling question: what specific fault of mine most closely resembles the exact thing I am so angry about right now? The moment you genuinely recognize your own shared human imperfections, your intense, burning rage instantly begins to evaporate. It is psychologically impossible to maintain absolute hatred for someone when you suddenly realize that you are simply looking at a slightly different reflection of your own past mistakes. Empathy is the ultimate, fast-acting antidote to the toxic poison of anger. You stop viewing the disrespectful person as an evil monster who must be destroyed in verbal combat, and you start viewing them as a flawed, stumbling human being who is making the exact same careless errors you have made 100 times before in your own life. You do not excuse their toxic behavior, and you certainly do not allow them to keep walking all over you, but you completely strip away the burning resentment that is currently destroying your own peace of mind. Forgiveness does not mean you are surrendering your power. It means you are completely in control of your own internal weather. As Marcus Aurelius wisely reminded himself during times of intense interpersonal conflict, you must understand that the person who does wrong acts out of ignorance. So your ultimate duty is to correct your own errors first, rather than judging the world around you. We are constantly taught that a good life is an easy, comfortable life. We deeply believe that difficult people, rude strangers, and toxic individuals are unfair interruptions, annoying obstacles that are deliberately placed in our path to completely ruin our peaceful day. We think that if someone disrespects us, we are victims of a terrible injustice, and our immediate reaction is to complain bitterly about how hard we have it. But the ancient Stoic philosophers completely rejected this fragile mindset. They understood a profound psychological truth that modern society has entirely forgotten. The people who deeply disrespect you are not your enemies, and they are certainly not a cruel punishment from the universe. They are your dedicated sparring partners. Imagine this incredibly familiar scenario. You have been working diligently on a major professional project for weeks, pouring your absolute best effort into every single detail. You proudly present it to your supervisor or a demanding client, and instead of receiving the basic appreciation you clearly deserve, they dismiss your hard work with a careless, insulting remark and arrogantly demand that you start completely over. Instantly, you feel a massive wave of intense frustration crashing violently over you. Your ego violently screams that this is completely unfair, that they do not respect your valuable time, and you desperately want to aggressively defend your wounded pride, or simply walk away right there on the spot. You feel entirely victimized by their severe lack of basic manners. But what if you completely shifted your perspective and viewed this exact painful moment through the sharp lens of a psychological gymnasium? You would never walk into a physical fitness center, look closely at a heavy 50-pound iron dumbbell, and angrily complain that the cold iron is actively disrespecting you or deliberately trying to make your life miserable. You already know exactly why the heavy weight exists. It exists to provide the exact amount of difficult friction your physical muscles desperately require to grow significantly stronger. Without that heavy resistance, you remain completely weak. The human mind operates in the exact same manner. The ancient philosopher Seneca beautifully compared daily life to a rigorous gymnasium for the human soul. He wisely taught that a beautiful gem absolutely cannot be polished without harsh friction, and a human being absolutely cannot be perfected without difficult trials. Every single time a deeply unaware person treats you with disrespect, they are not actually attacking your fundamental worth. They are simply adding heavy weight to your internal barbell. That deeply arrogant colleague is forcing you to practice the heavy lift of extreme patience. That entirely unreasonable stranger is handing you an absolute masterclass in maintaining your emotional composure. That deeply unfair personal criticism is a rigorous, unexpected test of your absolute humility. When you deliberately adopt this unshakable mindset, you perform the ultimate act of psychological alchemy. You literally transform toxic emotional garbage into premium fuel for your own personal growth. You permanently stop viewing a disrespectful person as a massive problem that needs to be completely destroyed in a loud argument, and you start viewing them as an absolutely essential training tool. Modern psychology refers to this brilliant concept as post-traumatic growth, the scientifically proven idea that successfully navigating difficult emotional friction is precisely what builds a deeply resilient character. The very next time someone dares to provoke you with a harsh insult or a condescending attitude, do not allow yourself to sink into completely useless self-pity. Do not angrily ask the universe why this terrible thing is happening to you. Instead, take a deep, deliberate breath. Square your shoulders and silently ask yourself what specific virtue you are currently being uniquely trained to master. Treat their disrespectful noise as a completely free opportunity to dramatically strengthen your internal emotional armor. You cannot ever grow strong without facing significant resistance, and the true Stoic warrior, absolutely never prays for an easy, comfortable life. As the great Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius powerfully reminded himself during times of intense conflict, the impediment to action actually advances action, because what firmly stands in your way immediately becomes your new way forward. We are relentlessly conditioned by modern society to believe that silence is the ultimate form of surrender, and that showing kindness to someone who attacks you is a fatal weakness. We are told that if someone throws a harsh insult at you and you do not immediately strike back with equal or greater force, you are publicly accepting defeat and inviting the entire world to walk all over you. But this is a massive and dangerous misunderstanding of true power. Imagine you are sitting at a crowded dinner table with extended family, or attending a highly stressful corporate event, and someone across the room decides to make a direct, deeply humiliating joke at your expense. The entire room suddenly goes dead silent. Every single pair of eyes eagerly shifts to you, nervously waiting to see exactly how you will retaliate. Your ego absolutely screams at you to unleash a devastating verbal counterattack, to completely destroy their arrogance and fiercely defend your personal honor. But in this critical fraction of a second, you have the rare opportunity to deploy the ultimate Stoic flex. Instead of mirroring their toxic hostility, you choose absolute, impenetrable silence. Or even more devastatingly, you respond with genuine, unbothered kindness. You must deeply understand that responding with profound calm is not a sign of submission. It is supreme, undeniable power beautifully wrapped in velvet. When an insecure person aggressively attacks you, they are desperately throwing a psychological hook, hoping you will eagerly bite so they can drag you down into their chaotic emotional mud. When you explosively react, you are validating their existence and actively playing their twisted game. But when you meet their burning rage with an absolute wall of silence or a gentle, sincere compliment, you completely shatter their entire strategy. You leave them entirely disoriented and incredibly awkward, completely alone in the room with the ugly weight of their own toxic energy. Think of a violently raging fire. If you throw gasoline on it by angrily arguing back, it will burn your entire house down. But if you simply remove the oxygen by completely refusing to engage, the fire rapidly starves and completely extinguishes itself. Modern neuroscience perfectly aligns with this ancient wisdom. When you choose to explode with anger, your body floods your system with cortisol, violently spiking your stress and completely ruining your biological peace. But when you deliberately choose kindness and emotional restraint, your brain releases serotonin, literally calming your nervous system and firmly anchoring you in a state of deep tranquility. The great Roman philosopher Seneca brilliantly observed that kindness is absolutely invincible if it is sincere. For what can even the most hateful, bitter person possibly do to you if you consistently keep showing them unshakable goodwill? They are completely powerless against a mind that absolutely refuses to be disturbed. The very next time someone attempts to publicly humiliate you, do not rush to frantically defend your fragile ego. Just sit there, look them directly in the eyes with soft, steady confidence, and let a long, uncomfortable silence stretch across the room. Let their carelessly thrown insult hang heavily in the empty air until it completely falls flat and dies on impact. Watch as they nervously shift in their seat, suddenly realizing that their weak attempt to break your spirit has completely failed. You do not need to loudly announce your strength when your quiet presence already proves it. True dignity does not ever need to raise its voice to be deeply felt by everyone in the room. The absolute greatest victory you can ever achieve over a deeply toxic person is simply refusing to let their internal sickness infect your soul. As the powerful Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius wisely reminded himself during times of intense conflict and bitter betrayal, the absolute best revenge is not to be like your enemy. We spend our entire lives chasing the dangerous illusion that true freedom means creating a perfect world where no one ever disrespects us, crosses our boundaries, or treats us unfairly. We falsely believe that if we can just become successful enough, intimidating enough, or loud enough, we can somehow force the outside world to behave exactly the way we demand and finally earn the respect we firmly think we deserve. But the ancient Stoic philosophers deeply understood that this external pursuit is a complete trap that will inevitably leave you exhausted, bitter, and perpetually angry. Freedom is never found by trying to control the completely uncontrollable behavior of other people. True, unbreakable freedom is found entirely in your absolute refusal to let their chaotic behavior control you. Think back to those deeply familiar moments we have thoroughly explored on this journey. Remember that crowded corporate meeting room where the jealous coworker abruptly cut you off? Or that highly aggressive driver swerving recklessly on the highway? Or the carefully crafted text message designed specifically to humiliate you? Before you truly understood this philosophy, those exact moments would have completely derailed your entire day. They would have immediately hijacked your nervous system, flooded your physical body with toxic stress hormones, and entirely dictated your emotional weather. But now, you see the profound reality of the situation with absolute clarity. You realize that your inner peace is an incredibly expensive, sacred commodity, and it is far too valuable to ever trade for the cheap, thoughtless actions of a profoundly unaware person. Reaction is always exhausting, fragile, and desperate, while restraint is intensely empowering, grounded, and invincible. The fragile human ego constantly demands that you descend into the dirty mud to loudly fight every single battle. But deep wisdom simply observes the chaotic background noise and gracefully walks away. When you react with explosive anger to a toxic person, you are voluntarily stepping out of your impenetrable psychological fortress and eagerly drinking from a poisoned cup that they deliberately poured for you. You are actively handing them the master keys to your own mind. But the ultimate realization is that you absolutely do not have to drink the poison. You can simply look directly at the cup, clearly recognize it for the toxic sickness that it is, and quietly leave it sitting completely untouched on the table. The modern world will always have its endless share of difficult, confused, and deeply wounded individuals who will desperately try to project their internal misery onto you. You absolutely cannot control their severe lack of basic manners. You cannot fix their broken perception of reality, and you certainly cannot cure their spiritual blindness. But you can absolutely choose to be the quiet, unshakable stillness at the very center of their raging storm. Let them spin completely out of control. Let them loudly complain and desperately try to pull your emotional puppet strings. You have already taken out the sharp scissors of Stoic discipline and permanently cut those invisible strings. The ultimate flex in life is not having the sharpest tongue or the quickest verbal comeback. The ultimate flex is looking directly into the face of blatant disrespect and remaining completely unbothered, deeply knowing that their sickness has absolutely nothing to do with your journey. Your dignity is entirely yours to carefully keep. True freedom is not about manipulating the outside world to be perfectly gentle with you. It is entirely about building an internal world so deeply rooted in self-respect and rational control that the outside chaos simply bounces harmlessly off your mental armor. No human being on this earth can ever touch your character, degrade your worth, or steal your joy unless you explicitly grant them the permission to do so. The absolute greatest victory you can ever achieve is refusing to surrender your serenity to a world that desperately wants you to be angry. As the great Stoic emperor Marcus Aurelius powerfully reminded himself centuries ago, you have absolute power over your own mind, not outside events. Realize this deeply, and you will forever find invincible strength. You have walked through every test, every insult, and every pull toward anger, and you made it here still calm and still standing. The world will inevitably keep sending difficult people to test your boundaries, but now you know exactly how to protect your inner citadel. If this message helped you find stillness even for a single moment, consider subscribing and joining a community of minds learning to master the chaos. Carry these lessons with quiet confidence into your tomorrow. Thank you for watching, for listening, and for choosing peace. Until next time, walk with composure and stay unbreakable. See you next video.